Yo, 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 guys, it is Old Man G here, back again with Josh, back again for another Red Gunners podcast. I know Manchester United are, in fact, the team news is probably out against Everton as we speak, but I thought we'd just get this in before the big game, so it shouldn't be too long, but still quite a bit to discuss. Remember, if you're new to the channel, remember to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United and smash that notification button for latest Manchester United news. Thank you for everyone who will be joining us live. Like I said, I am joined with Josh. Josh, how are you doing as a fellow Arsenal fan?
I'm fine.
Shout out to Kobe in the comments. Thank you so much. I'm doing fine, thank you. This is obviously our weekly, hopefully weekly, regular Red Gunners podcast where we basically talk about essentially the issues around Manchester United and Arsenal Football Club, hopefully to expand. And on the previous episode, we were talking about mostly, to be honest, about Arsenal Football Club and the decline. I think that before then, I think that was just after the loss to Burnley, I think if I'm correct, 1-0. And it's almost like things couldn't get any worse. And would you say that before we get into our topic, before we get into a topic, do you think that things have gone worse over the last week?
Well, Albert Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And you can see with Arteta playing the same people, the Mustafis, etc., same experienced players instead of trying something different. And, you see what happened.
Let's get even straight into the first topic, because really the first thing I want to talk about really is what is about Arteta, really, and the fact that the board is backing Arteta. And from what we know, the Arsenal board is backing Arteta. Oh, Kobe says, how did your fantasy teams last week? We're going to be doing a fantasy preview thing on Boxing Day. I'm going to probably start it a bit earlier so we can actually almost do a review and preview on the same day as well. And we can go for results and stuff. Needs to say, I think I did a bit average, maybe below average. And Josh, I think you did. How did you do?
I did okay, but could have been better.
Long story short of it, don't listen to Be About Salah is basically the point. And I didn't captain Bruno when I should, so that was mildly annoying. News came out from Arsenal that basically, in fact, I think the words from Edu were, it's not like we can get Messi or anything like that, which seemed to annoy a lot of Arsenal fans. But it's clear that at least they're backing Arteta and look like they're going to give him the January transfer window. What are your thoughts on that? Just supporting the Arsenal and just what it should do. Do you think, because a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, it's a stand like he needs to get his own players. He needs to move the deadwood. He needs his own team, etc. And so they back him and they want him to have a window. And that looks like what the board wants as well. But what do you think as an Arsenal fan? Do you think that with a good, transfer window, he'll be okay, he'll do it? Or do you think that this is actually about the coach specifically, that he's just not good enough?
Obviously, you'd have sympathy for a person who, because it's the same players seem to be making the same errors, and there are certain players who just aren't up to par, and some of these players he's backed many times in press conferences. For example, he convinced Xhaka to stay after everything that happened. Okay. And I believe, Xhaka, he's not a bad player, but the Bundesliga is a different league. And I think things have evolved. Football's evolved. And to be honest, I don't even know if Xhaka would do well in the Bundesliga, looking at some of the teams. He convinced Xhaka to stay. I think not that it was warranted, the abuse that he got, It was, vile from the fans, but I think he should have just got himself out because, he experienced a toxic atmosphere. And, players like that, are not good enough at the end of the day. The Mustafi's, he's back. Gave Mustafi, I don't know if he gave him a new contract, but he didn't get rid of him. Bellerin, he's backed many times in the press conferences.
So is that so? I guess the question is that on Arteta? Is that on Stan Kroenke? Is the point? Because a lot of people would say that's the board, that's Edu, that's it might not necessarily be Arteta per se, because obviously he's not had his transfer window, he's not been able to get the players that he wants. Or do you not accept that argument?
No, I don't really accept that argument because. People are saying that Arsenal haven't spent or he's not been backed, but he bought Partey 45 million, got Gabriel, he bought Luis, Willian, himself and Edu. He bought this keeper.
The Runnison, who had a bit of a difficult game. Let's put it that way. A difficult game yesterday.
So to say that he hasn't got the players he wanted, I don't really know what he means because, I look at Liverpool's business of Thiago. I'm not saying Thiago would have gone to Arsenal, but Liverpool are buying 5 mil every year for Thiago. Like that is amazing business. And you're telling me you're getting Willians on ridiculous wages. Willian, a player, he said he needed him in order to say that we're gonna win the Champions League in the next how many years. These are all if I'm because these guys don't know anything about football. These cronkies. If I'm a manager and I say to you I'm going to win the Champions League within 3 years, they're like, oh, nice, brilliant. What I'll give you everything you need, on a budget. There you go.
So if it was that easy, Pep would have won it, given all the money.
Exactly. And someone said, I'll answer your question in a second, Kobe. But at the end of the day, Arteta, I've seen some of the interviews that some of the things that Pep's saying about Arteta and Arsenal. Number one, Pep hates Arsenal because Arsenal were one of the teams that voted that Man City should get the Champions League ban. So, of course, he's going to back Arteta regardless. Arteta's almost like a beta male to the alpha Pep, he hasn't managed. Pep Guardiola is one person that said things like, Messi is the only player to make me better as a manager or something like that. We don't have Messi. What's Arteta going to do with this group of players that aren't that great, honestly? So I don't know.
No, and if you address Kobe's question, Josh.
So the Saliba thing is interesting. Some people think that it's something to do with his personal life, and that's why they want him to go back to Saint-Etienne. But pretty much Arteta said that he doesn't feel like he's ready and things like that. But you look at Wenger and he said he'd rather play a youngster because he's going to make mistakes. And when you spend 27 million on a young centre back, look at Leicester. They bought Fofana for something similar. Saliba's partner, Saint-Etienne, and he's doing perfectly fine in that Leicester first team. One of the best centre backs so far this season.
It's very strange. I just find it very strange that, and maybe this comes to maybe Arsenal scouting. How you bought Saliba. I think there's the other guy, Mari. I think it is. That was another centre back. Cedric and so on. So they spent a lot of money. Cedric, Pablo and Saliba, etc. So that's 3 signings, and that they spent money on, decent money on. Obviously they're paying 300k a week to Özil, but it's just weird that like if there were issues, why weren't these issues seen by the scouting? Why was it that it took for Arsenal to pay them goodness knows how much to then be like, oh yeah. Oh, there's issues now. Do you know what I mean? Like, is it like what's going on in that respect? Like, are the scouting team at Arsenal just bulls or what? I don't know.
Well, I mean, honestly, like I look at, maybe the teams above us. I look at a Leeds or a Southampton or a Villa or a such and such and a such and such. Yeah. And okay, they probably have one or two players we could say that are standouts. Maybe like Phillips at Leeds.
Yeah.
And maybe, like a Harrison. Very good players. Or Southampton, you can say like a Danny Ings or a Vestergaard. But even players like Vestergaard, Southampton got beat 9-0 with him in the team. And look at them now. So some of it is, okay, I guarantee you give Klopp, give someone else these kind of players, and they'll find a system and make it work. But at the same time, it took Klopp maybe 3 or 4 years to get rid of Deadwood. And Arteta's been here almost 2 years. And I don't see who's he got rid of so far. He loaned Torreira, one of our best players, who now seems to want to come back.
Yeah, because he's not being picked at Atletico. Guendouzi seems to be enjoying himself where he is, and Özil, well, we all know about Mesut.
So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Remember, guys. Remember to like the vid if you can. Before we move on to the next segment of this, like, do you think that the board are gonna, like, I know they say it because many boards say this, but as an Arsenal fan, do you think the board will continue to back Arteta, or will they, like, because right now Arsenal are looking at the next couple of games. In fact, if I bring it up. I'll bring up Arsenal's fixtures in a second. Just bear with me for 2 seconds. I think Spurs are winning, which just will be good for Mourinho. 2 seconds, everybody. Right. Let's quickly stop that. And let's have a look at the fixtures. So these are the fixtures for Arsenal coming up here. Everyone can see that. So they have Chelsea. So this is the next 5 fixtures to say. So they've got Chelsea at home. They've got Brighton away. And more Pies won it. Then they've got West Brom away. Newcastle in the 3rd round of the FA Cup. Crystal Palace at home, and then Newcastle at home. Do you see, because I mean, in theory, most of those, bar the Chelsea game, are easy winnable games for Arsenal. Aside from the Chelsea game, most of these things are equalized. And Sharon says Stoke equalized.
Really?
It's Stoke equalized. I mean,
Tottenham are banter.
At the end of the day, like, can they do it in a rainy night in Stoke? This is the thing. This is the thing. Can I do it in the rain?
Well, that's the only thing that consoles you as an Arsenal fan. You know that however well Spurs are doing, they're going to bottle it at some stage.
I mean, that's not going to console you in the Championship, So, but I definitely see your point, Josh. But in answer to your question, and sorry, new guy, 1D. I'll just say Adachi Raj actually. So it's a lot there. What's your prediction on the Arsenal versus Chelsea match? Well, that's, I guess, tying into what I'm saying here is that, when you look at those fixtures, and I'll go back to the Chelsea game gone home. Like, do you see Arsenal winning any of these games, Josh?
Well, we didn't beat Chelsea last season apart from the FA Cup. Didn't beat them in the league. So
Okay.
that's no.
Remember, guys, like the vid for everyone's watching. Please like the video and share it if you can. Sorry, go on, Josh.
We didn't beat Brighton in the league last season at all. And West Brom, you just never know. I mean, West Brom put 3 past Chelsea, so Sam Allardyce has already said fighting words.
Well, in fact, let's move on to that. You that's a good segue in. Just in the comments, guys. Damien Perez, United for the title. I know you're laughing. Title minimum for Oli. It's not a minimum for Oli, you know. So a trophy would be nice. Ideally, you know, maybe a Carabao FA. But for me, it's all about the progress. We're going to come to that in a second if you're still watching, Damien. And Rich says, "Hi, Sports. Rich Sports. For those who are watching, Rich Sports, good friend of mine." Doing some brilliant work. His channel is fastly growing as well. Please head over and subscribe to Rich Sports. He does a lot of. He's a United fan, but also covers a lot of NBA stuff as well. So it's really good. It's really good shout. So I think he's doing a Everton post-match reaction as well. So give it a shout. And Rich Sports says, I think it's a question for you, Josh. We asked about night Brighton key game. 6 points. What do you think?
No, he's you know. Some of it is probably banter, but you know, there's an element of truth behind it now. It's tough, man. It's tough being an Arsenal fan.
Because my concern is that, like, if you lose these 2 games, because if we go back and look at the table, and before we move on to what Allardyce said, here's where Arsenal are now, 15th. Obviously, Burnley have a game in hand. That's against Manchester United, and I don't intend to lose to United to lose to Burnley, so don't have to worry about that. So let's just assume that, like, Burnley have played 14, have got 13 points. Okay, Arsenal have 14, Burnley have 13, Brighton have 12, Fulham have 10, West Brom have 7. We can say that Sheffield United are pretty much gone. I don't have to worry about them. There's 2 positions. If Arsenal lose those teams, especially against the Brighton game, which would mean that Brighton would go ahead of Arsenal, you know, are you potentially seeing? Are you now concerned? Are you now genuinely concerned that Arsenal actually might get relegated, Josh?
We have the second worst form in the league. If you look at that, we actually have the same form as Sheffield now. But we have overall we have the second worst form in the past. Well, we have this. Yeah, we have the joint worst form now, essentially. And so I don't see where the confidence from Arsenal fans come from, thinking we're going to turn this around, because this isn't like we're playing well, we're scoring goals but losing, which is what Arteta seems to think we're doing. He says we're dominating games but losing, and he's saying that, you know, he doesn't know what's going on right now. What's going on is that you're out of your depth and you're playing Mourinho football, but you're not Mourinho. There's not many people who can play that football. You know, Wolves kind of play that, but that, you know, they've been doing it for years and they're good at it. Newcastle, you know, Newcastle will always have enough to stay up.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as Damien actually said, well, first of all, he says, if I was asked, I would rest players against Chelsea for the big 6-pointer. Is it that bad? Is it getting to that bad, Josh? That and it's race for 40 points. Shout out to Average Joe, by the way. Thank you, Average Joe, our mod. You know, really appreciate it, Chief. Kind of wants Burnley to go down. Tired of seeing them. I mean, let's quickly fast track to, because I think this was now taking the mick. Now I think that this was, you know, Sam Allardyce, who's now the manager of West Brom. I think this summarizes for me just how low Arsenal are right now, because obviously West Brom in a relegation battle, and Sam Allardyce has basically come out. Sam Allardyce, obviously being a manager known for keeping teams up a given time. And I do believe that, like, I think given time, and especially coming to January, he will actually keep West Brom up. Sam Allardyce has come out and said he was asked if he saw Arsenal as a rival in the battle for Premier League survival. Allardyce said, if they are in the bottom 8 at the moment, yes, absolutely. Allardyce added, getting beaten by Manchester City, even though it is not in the Premier League, as it would do with ours, drains the confidence of Arsenal players. They will be wondering what has hit them. They will be wondering why they are down there. They'll be wondering what it takes to get out of that position. I know what it takes. I hope to convince my players to respond to that. I hope we can push at Arsenal when we play them because they have a lack of confidence, he said. We will try to beat them or anybody in the bottom 8. Now, just compare those words to the words of Arteta when he's talking about percentages. And we have a 75% chance and 25%, and in 25% of these games, you should do this and that. Do you see the difference between those coaches and how potentially the language that you're putting out there might obviously affect the players? If your manager's saying this, now he might end up being proven wrong at the end of the season. But if you're hearing this, at least you're thinking, right, okay, we got this. We can do this. What are your, before I go back to you, Josh, and about what are your comments on Mr. Allardyce? I'm just quickly read some of the comments in the chat. Thank you, guys. Remember, get your questions. We're doing another Q&A as well, so please get your towards the end. Sorry, so please think of some questions, and we will get to it. Let's have a look. Kind of want Burnley to go down. Sick of seeing them. I don't know what your thoughts on this, but I do too. But Burnley have this weird thing of starting the season really badly, and then basically just doing what Burnley do, which is get a few nicky points here and there, grind out a few results, and just do enough to survive, you know? Let's a few comments. Shawaza Khan says, Fulham are improving and Brighton are decent at home, so it'll be a tough game. Adaj Raj says, is winning the FA Cup the only option for Arsenal in European competition next season? I think that's a question to you, Josh.
Man, yeah, this is a tough stream. It's because there's no. I don't have any optimism, you know. You can win an FA Cup and get relegated. We've seen it before. We definitely don't have a chance in the Europa League. Definitely not. Especially if. I mean, at the end of the day, we got knocked out by Olympiacos. We didn't score. We didn't score at Olympiacos. We didn't score. And I was playing our strongest team. So, I mean, we saw in the Carabao Cup what Martinelli did in 20, 30 minutes. Play players like that. Once Partey comes back, build a team around Martinelli, Partey and Saka. And Gabriel. Forget Mustafi, forget Xhaka, forget Bellerin. To build a team around them. If you have to play younger on them.
Even to be honest, sorry to interrupt, Josh, even some of the other younger players, like when I saw Smith Rowe and Balogun come on, even they look, I mean, they didn't like score, but there was still something about them that you were like, they're playing with a sense of purpose and urgency, etc., compared to everyone else.
Because they've been through they know what it means to be an Arsenal player. They've come through the academy system. You know, you can tell. I mean,
what Martinelli did in just 30 minutes is more than I've seen Willian do since he arrived at Arsenal Football Club. I mean, I don't know whether you agree with that or not. So, but
it's kind of weird because Willian's how old? 32. And Willian's never been a leader. Like Chelsea fans told us, like he's crap, and we were like, oh no, he's going to do this, he's going to do this. But he's crap. Like there's no, that's it. He's just crap. There's nothing else to it. But Arteta is convinced that players like him, if a manager is convinced that players like him are going to bring you to Champions League glory, then he either doesn't believe what he's saying or he's delusional. So,
the United Man, shout out to Shane. Guys who are watching, please head over to United Man channel and support my bro who's just come back from like a long hiatus. We need to catch up, buddy. And he's starting to produce his content again. So please head over to his channel, guys, and subscribe and support him. Says big up G. So with regards to Özil and Guendouzi being out of favour, most creative players, these were Arteta choices. Is there a problem with his man management? Or if so, who solves that? So I think that's a question to you, Josh, again.
Yeah, it's... One sec. Yeah, it's... No, you're right, man. You know, even... At any team, you're going to have, like... Look at Pogba's and, you know, I don't think Pogba's that problematic, but, you know, some players are seen as problematic and things like this. So, like, they're footballers. They earn millions. People are going to have whatever opinion they want. You give an 18-year-old £1 million, you know, he's going to think he's pretty cool, you know? Like, he's going to have an ego. But sometimes you kind of need that. Like, Guendouzi, I don't know what happened in the back, but him choking Mope after the game, like he did it after the game. To be fair, like he didn't do it during the game and get sent off like Xhaka in a senior player. You know, like okay, he did it after the game, but Guendouzi, you know, he's young and he actually wasn't that bad. You know, a midfield of Guendouzi and Partey doesn't sound that bad to me, honestly. You got a senior player there, and you got a not so senior player there. Ozil, I think. Even if he has half a leg, you play him. Like he's going to create something. He might not, because people look at stats, assists, and things like that. He's not going to get 20 assists because he's not 25 anymore. He's not, you know, De Bruyne might, but you know, but Ozil in 18 appearances created the most chances under Emery or under Arteta. I can't remember, and he had 18 games and. Pepe was the second most creative, but he had like double the games. You know what I mean? So like that shows you. So okay, if you're gonna take Ozil out for footballing reasons, then get a creative player. You didn't sign a creative player in the summer. What's your problem? So I'm sick of all the politics.
Damien, go on, sorry.
No, I'm saying it sounds good, and obviously Arteta. He's a yes man for the Kroenkes. It sounds good. So if it sounds good, then it's, you know, whatever.
Big Sam has spoken, says Damien Perez. Average of relegation rival. And Big Sam violated. Well, Big Sam is Big Sam's doing what he's doing, man. And he's going for Arsenal, to be honest. But average sorry. Let me get this out because my mouse is Average Joe says, but Arsenal will surely get more than 40 points. I mean, you hope so. You hope so. And I'm saying they aren't getting relegated. They aren't getting relegated. It would be nice. Last message, please. What was your last message? Yeah, we addressed this one. We did. I don't know if you're here, but we did address this. And I think Josh's answer was pretty much like, I don't think he's not confident really in that really. Average, how far do you think Manchester United will go in Europa? Well, I'm going to come to Ollie in a second. It's just, to be honest, there's not really a lot else to. There's more to talk about Arsenal and just how it's going on with Arsenal than with United right now. So, but I'm going to be coming to United next. Like the vid, everyone. Like the vid, as Average Joe said. Imagine if United get knocked out by Sociedad. I don't imagine. I assume it's very possible because Real Sociedad are a solid team and doing bits in the Liga. So, you know, in fact, for I think I don't know when the Europa League starts in February. We'll probably do a special Red Gunners podcast where we'll preview Arsenal playing Benfica and United playing Real Sociedad. And I think if both me and Josh are honest, I don't think I'm expecting anything from United going into the Europa League game. I like us too. And this, I guess this question goes into Average Joe, how far I think we're going to Europa League. personally, for me, as much as I think we should win trophies, I'd actually rather us focus on the league, especially if we're in such a, if by the time the Europa League starts and we're only 2 points from first, if I'm perfectly honest, I'd rather us drop out of the Europa League. If we're only 2 points behind like a Liverpool in February, I'd rather us just drop out of the Europa League together and just focus on playing one game a week, all our players can be fit, so that we can win, so we can maximize and win those games. That's what I would do. But that's my personal opinion. Yeah, we did that. David Silva masterclass at Old Trafford. I pray not. Average Joe, Rexon, and Watford versus Arsenal, game of the season in English Championship. Oh, there's that that's the FA Cup, isn't it? I think Arsenal got drawn Watford, didn't they? Or did we get?
No, he's saying once Arsenal get relegated.
Oh, right. London derby in the Championship, man. So let alone Arsenal versus...
Troy Deeney's probably laughing right now.
Let alone Millwall, man. And then lastly, Mo, why did Arteta abandon the three at the back? With your lack of goals, your best chance is trying to keep clean sheets. Josh?
He's trying something different, but the way he's doing it doesn't make any sense, I
mean, if I'm honest, I always thought it seemed to be redundant to play against playing three centre halves against a team with a low block. You know what I mean? If Burnley or West Brom, etc., come to the Emirates, they're not going to come to the Emirates to win the game. So what's the point in playing? Because if you're playing three at the back, you're basically playing without a midfielder, one less midfielder. So essentially, what you're saying is we want to have some sort of defensive cover, which is perfectly fine for teams that play a low block and don't want to go out and win the game. Have the ball as much as you want, pass it around in your half, pass it around. It's no big deal. And I think it worked against the Liverpools and the Cities and the Uniteds, etc., when Arsenal could counter-attack and have a protected back, protected defense, and that's why obviously they were doing well. But then when they started playing against teams that like Villas and stuff like that, they weren't expected. They were expected to go out and break down. That's when it became a problem, and it's been a problem ever since.
Absolutely. Obviously Arteta was new, and so people, I guess, were trying to figure out how to play him when you have a new manager. But then, over the summer, you get your tacticians and statisticians in there, etc., and they've probably now been like, oh, we know how to play this guy now. All he does is this. And he's been figured out. That's literally all it is. Because it's probably not, new manager bound plus this and this, trying to figure out what they're like. But I think because if you look at every game, we outpossess every team. But that just shows you that's not a good thing if you're not having any shots on target and not creating chances. It just means that teams are comfortable giving you the ball because you're not going to do anything with it. Because they're going to be like, okay, you can pass it around the back, but you're not coming to attack us, so have the ball. We don't care.
Unfortunately, Josh, Spurs are now 3-1 up in 81 minutes. Harry Kane scored the third goal. So it is what it is in that respect. Let's quickly move on. Let's actually, we'll obviously talk about Arsenal for a while. So let's talk about this man, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, as I kind of said last week, it's almost like since the Arsenal game where we lost to Old Trafford, where Manchester United won quite a low. I think we lost against Istanbul, lost against Arsenal, and there was a lot of building toxicity against the club. Fast forward, and there's almost been complete role reversal. Solskjaer, obviously, very good win over the weekend. Well, 2 wins, beating Sheffield United, and then absolutely destroying Leeds at home. Scott McTominay showing why he why he needs to start at times for Manchester United.
Can I just quickly stop you there?
Go on,
That is the difference between United and Arsenal, because you can't tell me United have a better team than Arsenal. Okay, Bruno, Rashford, Wan-Bissaka. Those are three definite people who are better than, you could, man for man in the Arsenal team, you can say they're better than, right? But for me to show that a player like Scott McTominay has stepped up and scored 2 goals is being like, oh, okay, I'm trying to fight for my place. And they don't have that in the Arsenal team, because either they don't trust the manager and they can't be ours, or that we don't have players that want to fight, or the players that do aren't playing, like Martinelli's been injured, Partey, blah, 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 Guendouzi's out. Sorry, but yeah, continue. But it makes sense, complete sense.
No. It's a good point, So because I remember literally straight after the Arsenal game, Ian Wright was saying, if Arteta was at this Manchester United team, he'd win the Premier League. I'm not really.
Lots of Arsenal fans, that.
I mean, that's it's a bit strange, and obviously AFTV, and I mean, it's actually gone to the point where I think after the City game, I was watching AFTV as you standardly do, and even Ty was like, I told you guys we shouldn't have started Wenger. And when Ty is starting to say that, is starting to speak and dropping those things, it's like, if anything, I think DT is a bit more questionable in his comments than Ty is now. And I think that actually says something about the state of Arsenal right now. But anyway, so fast forward, obviously, Solskjaer, we're now obviously, I think we're 3rd in the league with a game in hand. So if we win our game in hand against Burnley, we'd actually be 2nd by only being 2 points behind Liverpool. And although we're out of the Champions League, which is very frustrating, the squad is there. We're in the Europa League. And there's a bit of what I would call maybe cautious positivity around Manchester United right now. I think there's a general belief that if United can get through the next 3 games against Leicester, Villa, and Wolves, then they could be doing something, But the most important thing really in this season is that, as the title says, Solskjaer needs a trophy. It's one thing to have success, to get forward, but you need evidence of that success. Josh, what's in the background there? Is there
a football match?
Ooh. Yeah, Everton are playing Arsenal. Everton are playing United soon. So we're going to round this off in the next 15, 20 minutes.
It'll be okay as long as it's not audio, but yeah.
But you need obviously evidence of your achievements, is the point I'm trying to make. And Solskjaer needs that. So I'll ask you, actually before I ask you, I'll quickly go into the comments, and then I'll just ask you, do you think that Solskjaer can get a trophy, and which trophy this season? So let's have a quick look in the comments. Adaj Raj says, I don't. So how Man United lost against Arsenal this season? Because of a poor Pogba mistake. Otherwise, I generally think we would have drawn. Although we were getting bossed, I generally think we would have drawn that game, because I don't think Arsenal would have scored but for the penalty.
Yeah, it would have been a draw.
I don't understand why Ozil's not being used. Your guess is as good as ours, to be honest. He's completely messed things up. Raymond Moore, thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone who's liked. If you haven't liked, remember to like and share the video. If Ole doesn't win a trophy this season, then sacking Mourinho was a complete joke by the boards. I don't completely agree with that, for the point that I think that's true if we finish outside the top 4. I think if we finish inside the top 4, you could argue it's not, because there's been no manager. I know top 4 is not a trophy, but there's been no manager since Sir Alex that's actually finished within the top 4 in back-to-back years. So that is arguably progress, because as much as I thought what Mourinho did was good at United in patches, if you look at our positions, we finished, I think, 6th, and then 2nd, and then obviously he was well out of the top 4, 12 points behind in his 3rd season before he got sacked. So it was only one season we actually finished in second place, and we didn't obviously get a trophy for that. And even that second place was still 30 points behind Manchester City, so it didn't really mean much. But I hear your point. Rexon says, I think EFL is not that great trophy, but yeah, winning this trophy will improve players' mentality. So I think for Ollie, it's important. And like I said, I agree. Ollie, the Juju King. I think Average Joe said Oz isn't being used because of political scandal. I think that's a response to Sharat Khan's comments. Damien Perez, a wise man once said, "It's time to go." Or shout out to Claude. Although I feel for the guy's health, to be honest. I think it's not great. We can make 9 changes to our squad and still put our team like that. If nothing else, Ollie's building a great squad. Well, in fact, let me have a quick look at what the squad is against the Everton game, because I think that. Let's have a quick look. So Henderson, Twansibi, Bay, Maguire, Telles. What's he doing? Is he playing 3 at the back? He must be.
That's smart. Right. That's smart because you have what's his name's really good in the air. It makes sense.
And he's playing actually Bay, Maguire, Twansibi. So that's 3 at the back.
That's brilliant. Then
Telles, Pogba, Matic, Greenwood, Bruno,
Barney. And people like that's some. How is he not being backed? I understand you didn't get Sancho.
I mean, I'm looking at that team and being like, that should basically be our lineup, just going forward, full stop. Like
that's good. You have depth.
That actually, looking at that's actually, I'm like, that's better than the lineup we put against Leeds. If you're playing that 3 at the back, unless he's playing, no, he's not playing 3. He's playing 4 at the back. I know what he's done. He's brought Twansibi in for Wan-Bissaka because Wan-Bissaka is injured. So he's playing 4 at the back with Twansibi, by Maguire as the centre backs, Telles as a left, then Matic, Pogba, Bruno 3, and then was he playing a diamond?
I don't know about Twansibi, you're right back, but
he's playing Matic and holding, then Pogba, and then Van der Beek, then Bruno, then Greenwood, Cavani. Yeah, he's playing a diamond. That's what he's doing. I understand that now. Right, sorry to deviate, guys. But yeah, if nothing else, Ollie's building a great squad. So you're saying something, your thoughts, you're saying about the depth and thing about Manchester United, Josh?
Well, you guys complain there's no depth because guys didn't get Sancho or whatever, but that looks like depth to me. To playing a side like that in the Carabao Cup without it being your strongest team. Looks like depth to me.
Well, I think that I certainly think that like the Van der Beek signing gave us midfield depth. The Cavani obviously gave us more up front, and if obviously Twansibi and Bayer fit, they give us options there. So I don't think you see many Manchester United complaining about depth this season. I think that if anything, the issue now is what team is he going to pick, the consistency, etc. But do you think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can actually win a trophy this season? If so, which one do you think, Josh?
Of Twansibi and who?
Sorry?
What was the question?
The question was, do you think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can win a trophy this season? If so, which one?
Depends, man. You have to motivate people differently for cups to win something. But I think he needs to win something. I understand he's doing well. He got to Carabao Cup.
He got to the semi-final of the Europa League.
Yeah, he's got how many semi-finals?
Yeah,
so he needs to improve.
Yeah,
he needs to improve on the semi-finals, basically.
So out of all the competition, you think, which one do you think? So we're in the FA Cup. We're obviously in the quarters of the Europa League, that we'll see tonight, and then obviously the Europa League. Which one of those do you think is more likely to win?
Probably the Carabao Cup.
The Carabao Cup. Okay, yeah. Fair enough. We're going to go into our final topic because I know it's getting close to game time. Just this question before we move on to the final topic. Do you think Arsenal have a good transfer this January, says Aditya Raj?
No. because at the end of the day, whoever we sign we're not going to get our in January if we do get him. There's no way. We don't have the funds to do that in January. We're going to be looking at loan deals, and we're going to be looking at, maybe I can see a Buendia, but I don't think he's Arteta's kind of player. But yeah, I mean, they're trying to. Eriksen's on a transfer list for January, and I could see us going for some washed-up player like him.
I mean, at least Eriksen is a creative player. That's the only thing that I would say. Unlike Willian, I'm not saying it's a good. I'm saying that it's. I'm saying he's at least a creative player, because it doesn't make sense to go for, because Willian is a winger, although he's not doing great. Eriksen is at least the type of player that you need. You need someone in the Arsenal team that needs to create.
Yeah,
right now, no creating for him.
He hasn't created much this season, but I understand. I looked at his stats, and it's pretty bad for this season.
Yeah,
but those are the washed-up players you want to sign, so go for it. There'll be no buys in January. I can guarantee you. There'll be loan deals.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. Although you could get a good loan deal if you scout out. I think Jesse Lingard wants to move, so maybe that's a good shout. We need to win the league to stop the Scousers getting 20 titles. However, would love to win the FA Cup. I'd love that too, mate. But that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Imagine if Liverpool win the league this season and next season going to break the record. We don't want that talk around here, Damien. We don't want that talk. I know you're a Barca fan. We don't want that talk. We really don't. So let's move on to the final topic, and then we'll head off. And it's this. Who has the worst owners? Who has the worst owners? I mean, I think everyone has their different perspective on thing. Obviously, on your left, it's Joe Glazer. On your right, it's Mr. Stan Kroenke. Both American, both old, both billionaires, and both hated by their fans regardless. So, Josh, obviously you're an Arsenal fan. I've obviously complained about the Glazers a lot, but can you give an argument as to why Stan Kroenke is worse than the Glazers? And I'll give the reverse.
And they're probably on the same level. Just because, I don't know too much about the Glazers, but I know that Arsenal are definitely not his number one priority. They are maybe 8th, 9th, 10th, maybe. Because if Arsenal go to the Championship, he'll just liquidate and piss off, He's got the Rams, who are a really successful NFL team. He's got another NFL team, Chargers, I think. And he's got how many basketball teams, and then this, and this. Places making really good money, Knows nothing about football. All these businesses he's doing are, it's just standard, I don't know if he's doing the same. It seems to be the American thing where they I can't remember exactly what it is, but you put so much money into a club, and then you get it back in such and such in this. So they
dividends or something.
Yeah. So it's just I'm sick of it, and Arteta's the perfect man for the Kroenkes, because look at the things he's saying in the media. Ozil's left out the squad for footballing reasons. This, and this. He's just some of the things he's saying. It's just it's like Kroenke's pulling the strings behind the corner. Just you say this, and Arteta's the perfect man for it. Arteta was a player who showed heart when he was a football player, but as a manager, I don't think he's got a spine. The Ozil thing is definitely not footballing reasons. He has been frozen out because of his comments, and I'm sick to death of these guys. If the way everything that happened with Wenger was clutching at straws, trying to save this club, he couldn't do anything. If we get relegated, it's on them. But what can you do?
Damon says,
these Freemasons, they've got powers that we can't do anything about. So.
I don't disagree. Well, Damon says Arsenal are the worst. Charles Khan says Glazers are the worst. Average Joe says 8-2. Glazers at least give money to the manager, says Damien. Charles Khan says Newcastle own is pretty bad, but to be fair to Mike Ashley, did try to sell in the summer, and also Newcastle aren't in tons of debt, which is a thing. Neither are Arsenal, I guess, to be fair, but. Dame, didn't Ollie spend 200 million more than any manager since Fergie left? No, I would argue that Mourinho and even Van Gaal spent more money on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You also got to take into account outgoings as well. So Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in a limited period of time had more outgoings than all the other managers as well. So though I think Ole spent probably above 200 million, you got to remember that we obviously sold Lukaku for 70-something million. We sold Chris Smalling for 15 million. We sold Fellaini for another 15 million, and so on. So yeah, we had about 100 million worth of expenditures. So he's only really had a net spend of just about 100 million when you take into account fees and Sanchez and stuff. Glazers are leeches. They have leached $1 billion out of the club. Raymond says, obviously it's United channel. Glazers have taken more out of our clubs than investing in pure leech. And now it's going to stats show the Glazers have taken more out of the club than any other owner, which is true. I mean, you guys are making the argument. I was going to make an argument why the Glazers was Kroenke, and you're making the argument for me. And the argument is that the Glazers have basically saddled Manchester United with tons of debt, which Kroenke and at least Mike Ashley have not. And when you look at even, for example, like your stadium, yes, I get it that you have the most expensive tickets, but I've been to Old Trafford, and while it's a great atmosphere, it's an old stadium. It really is an old stadium. So this is a team, one of the biggest in the world, and the actual stadium itself it's not 21st century, if I'm perfectly honest, compared to a Spurs or Arsenal or even a Newcastle stadium, to be honest. So for all that money, where's all that money going to? It's going to pay back essentially interest on the amount of debt that's already on this football club. And when it comes to spending, yes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer might have spent 200 million or all this, etc. But people need to remember the fact that the money that we generate, we're the biggest club commercially in the world. So if you're in a summer only spending 50 million, where's the other hundreds of million? And I get in this context we have a pandemic, but in other circumstances, where's all the other money going to? Because we're generating the most. So how is it that other clubs, other teams, which I get are owned by billionaires, are spending more money in the summer than we are, even though we generate more money than all these clubs, most of these clubs, some of them even combined. And then I think there's just a big fact that the structure at Manchester United is not great. And we've been crying out for a director of football for quite some time, someone who knows the game, someone who can help, someone who can support the manager. And we don't have that. And it's still very much a old boys club of, we'll get a new manager in, and then they are accountable to us, and by us, I mean an accountant who's got no knowledge of football, and the Glazers who are Americans who definitely don't have much knowledge of football, So that's basically my argument for why they're the worst. I don't know what your thoughts are on the Glazers, Josh, or if you had to pick, an owner, stick or twist, would it be Glazers or would it be Kroenke?
Would I have what? I didn't hear that.
If you could pick one, Glazers or Kroenke?
Well, for me, it's our owners, but your guys, equally as bad. But that's just because I'm an Arsenal fan. If I was a United fan, I would say yours.
Fair enough. And like I said, let me know what you guys think. Now, last 5 minutes, guys, we're going to just quickly do a question and answer just regarding, obviously, our clubs, Manchester United and Arsenal. So if you have any questions, for the panel, well, by panel, it's just me and Josh, then let me know. Just 5 minutes of question and answers going into the next couple of weeks, just anything you basically want us to ask just please post in the comments now. For the last 5 minutes, we'll come and address some of those questions. And then we will be off because Manchester United are going to be playing fairly soon.
And I need to eat.
Let's have a look. Okay. Adaj Raj says, do you think Henderson can leave Manchester United to be England's number one? He could. He could be England's number one. I mean, I don't think people should get on his case about the mistake that he made against. It was against Sheffield. You know, like people make mistakes. It is what it is.
When you have Dean Henderson as a number 2 and Romero as a number 3 if needed, look at Arsenal's number 2. Come on, man! It's just levels.
Well, you had, and I say this several times. You had arguably one of the best keepers in the league this season in Martinez.
The only reason I can think, and the thing is, Wenger actually said that Martinez is going to be their number 1 one day, and the
only reason I can think was because he wanted to be first in. But to me, I felt it was a bit. I know that Leno was injured, but I still would have thought that it would have been, given what Martinez did, because to be honest, to me, a lot of credit for Arsenal winning the FA Cup. A lot of people said it's Aubameyang scored the goals. But when I watched those games, there were many times in that City game and in that Chelsea game when Martinez came out because he's a big guy and blocked a lot of good shots. And I don't think he got the credit that he generally deserved because there was so much on Aubameyang's awesome, Aubameyang. That I don't think people really credited Martinez for what he did in terms of his distribution, which I think is better than Leno's, his ability to patrol his box, which is better than Leno's, and his being able to save, which I think is better than Leno's.
He has the best stats in the Premier League this season. He's been the best goalkeeper so far, and there's he hasn't got a better defense in front of him. You know, Villa's defense is okay, but it's not amazing.
If you want to talk about the importance of a keeper, just look at what's happened to Sheffield United now. People don't realise the importance of having a good keeper and what that instills in a defence and centre back going forward. Because Sheffield United had Dean Henderson, and look at where they are now. They basically lose a centre back and a goalkeeper, and they're bottom right now.
Yeah. And it's not just the shot stopping. It's exactly what you said, distribution, command in the area. The only thing I can think of is him wanting to be number 1, but also they cashed in on him and they made profit. Because if you think about it, we sold him for 20-something million. We bought a keeper for 1 million. That's 90 mil in the Kroenke's books, in the Kroenke's pockets. And I'm pretty sure that 19 mil. Anyway, it's not even worth talking about, man.
Yeah. But in summary, I don't think he'll leave Manchester United because of the wages he's on. But I think that I would certainly think that he should definitely go out on loan and get more experience, and that might be the case in January actually. Just get your questions in. Last few minutes. If you have any questions for me or Josh, get them in. We're going to be ending the stream in about 2 minutes or so. Let's quickly read some of these comments. Rest interested to see 20 CB. Yeah, okay, going for the lineup. I think it's going to be an interesting game. It's going to be an interesting game because that's a good squad, a good diamond squad. And I've always said with the 2 up top, that works better for people that can hold up the ball. Rashford and Greenwood 2 up top is not ideal, but because Cavani's up top, I think that will help because Cavani will be able to hold up the ball better. Hashtag free Phil Jones. Stop it, troll. Naveen Kadragla says, sorry to say, but keeping Ozil on the bench and not using him cursed Arsenal. Well, he's not even on the bench. He's not even in the squad. If he was on the bench, that'd be one thing, but he's not even on the squad. Showers Kansas, do you think we'll get a centre back? Well, if you check my latest video, David Alaba is obviously an option. I think Upamecano, the noise seems to be getting less and less, and I suspect he'll be going to Bayern if he's going to leave at all. But we'll see. I'm 50-50 on it, to be honest, because I think a lot of clubs are interested in David Alaba, and with a lot of clubs are interested in players, we don't tend to get those players. I wouldn't be surprised if we went to Chelsea, for example. It is what it is. Raymond Moore, I think the standard question that is getting asked, will Arsenal get relegated this season, Josh?
If Arteta stays, there's no reason to not think we can't. There literally is no reason to think we can't. You have to be realistic.
What club would want Phil Jones? Well, apparently, who was the link to it? Was it West Ham or West Brom? I think one of those teams. He wants to go on loan on January. I think West Brom or West Ham are interested in the guy. If we could sell Phil Jones, man, and use that money to get a decent centre back, I would. I mean, you gotta love Ollie. You gotta love Ollie for that. Any more questions? Oh, United extra time. Thank you for joining, mate. Arsenal sacking those 55 workers who are knocked down to pay others' wages is pure karma. Well, it is what it is, isn't it? You know, you laid off obviously quite a few people, and even the gunner saw us obviously on top of that. And maybe it is. I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's. I think karma is one thing, but I think, to be honest, like, it's almost like Sunderland football. I'm not saying Arsenal's like Sunderland, but it's almost like, and I don't know if you agree with this, Josh. Sunderland were battling relegation for a while, and you could see from top to bottom that they weren't structurally sound, but they kept on surviving just about, and then until eventually it just kind of, collapsed. And I feel like with Arsenal, the issues have always been there, but it just seems like it's all now gone to a head, and we're now in a situation. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the heck that was all about. I know it happens in business. People get sacked, blah, 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 blah. But it was weird timing, man. Very weird timing. And then to see players on such ridiculous wages. Nah, man.
Good idea. Just rounding up the comments. I like Ceballos, but he learned from Madrid. Arsenal need proper wingers to get the best out of Uber. Like Ceballos, he learned from Modric at Madrid. Okay. Arsenal need proper wingers.
What did he learn? To tie his shoelaces, or because he learned how to play football from Modric? Flipping heck.
I assume you're not a fan of Ceballos, Josh?
He's okay. He's just average. Like, you can't tell me one of the Arsenal youngsters isn't better than him. I saw Aziz. I saw Maitland-Niles. I've seen Smith Rowe, midfielders. I've seen Willock. You can't tell me they're worse than Ceballos. No way, man. She's taking up wages.
Arteta is getting more than 40 points. Well, we'll see, because because he might get. The question is, are the other teams also going to get 40 points? That's the question. It's not just about Arsenal. It's about what all the other teams are doing as well. Sean Dyche, and the thing is, the only thing I would say, why I'd be really concerned is that all the other managers around Arteta have experience in this situation. So Graham Potter has experience battling relegation. Sam Allardyce has experience battling relegation. Sean Dyche has experience battling relegation. So all of those managers know what to do regarding getting the necessary points to survive. Now, they might not necessarily be successful this season, but they know what to do. Arteta is in his first season as a proper coach. This is his first season as a proper coach. And so he's never been in that. I mean, even Ollie, to be fair, with Cardiff, I bet, he got relegated, but like he's learned from that experience. He knows that experience. He knows what it's like. Arteta has no idea what it's like battling relegation, not as a player and not as a manager now.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's for me is the issue if they keep him, if they're going to be in this relegation race, is that he's not going to experience of it. He's just going to. Go on, Josh. Sorry, go on.
Just before we finish, because I'm going to go eat.
Yeah.
The truth behind William Saliba's exile from Arsenal. Saliba has never been told why he's not being picked.
Where's this from? Sorry, where's this from?
This is from Chris Wheatley, a respected reporter for Football London.
Okay, go on.
So Saliba has never been told why he's not being picked.
Mm-hmm.
He's frustrated and desperate to play first-team football.
Mm-hmm.
Edu is in regular contact with his reps. PSV among clubs who want him on loan. So, what I showed you earlier, just for if there's any Arsenal fans here, I was talking to Old Man G earlier, and there's a rumour going around that the reason why Saliba hasn't played yet is because of an add-on clause that would mean Arsenal have to pay Saint-Etienne 5 million after he makes his debut. So for the sake of 5 million, or maybe more, it's possible that William Saliba is not going to play for Arsenal. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. And this is how our club is run. So you guys who are saying Arteta is Pep's regen, Arteta's spineless. And if, he might be a good manager, I don't care. He does know how to manage players. And I'm done. I'm going to go eat.
Right.
Sorry,
okay.
Guys.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Really, really appreciate it. We've got quite a lot of people watching. Good question stuff. Remember, if you're new to the channel, to like the vid, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. We're going to be back next week with weekly Red Gunner podcast and more. Have a nice day, everyone. And let me know, guys, give me some feedback, what you want from this channel, whether it's more podcasts, more shows, or topics or whatever. Please let me know in the comments, in the community tab, whatever. Be really, really appreciative going forward. Have a nice season. Happy holidays to everybody. We will be back. Take care and cheers.